Mike, just to put a pin in it for a quick second. So when you were bidding with DeSantis's daughter, you're having her bid on a horse. One of the bloodstock agents was standing next to me, and he said, "Oh, I'd run this son of a bitch up." I'm like, "Are you shitting me? Like, are you like?" But you're right. You need to have licensing in place and detriments and penalties for people who are double dipping or are out and out defrauding their clients. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
John, and you know this. You know, I know we have HISA because Todd Pletcher and those owners and those racetracks, there is more fucking lying and cheating in the breeding business than there is the racetracks, okay? Okay? There are side deals made. There are horses fucking bred 330 times. I don't even know if it's fucking possible, by the way. All these deals are coming in and out. There are horses that are run off. There's horses. It's if this was the SEC, we'd have 2,000 people go to jail. You know what? Right. I want a HISA of the 2-year-olds and the yearlings and the Kentucky farms. Let's see what we get catch there.
Yeah, no, and it's necessary for the breeder, and we're breeders. You're breeders. You're a breeder also. It's necessary as far as what.
So clean up the breeding game, clean up the sales. Okay,
yeah.
I'm going. By the way, there's a lot that's on your list that I just marked off.
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't add that, so we agree on the sales. CAW data we agree on. I believe in a stallion cap. I think it should be 175.
Well, again. This is something when you and I first engaged online on this topic, which was around a year ago or so on Twitter. I admit to having been a little bit naive. I thought that it would be good to cap at 150 or whatever. I had a lower number in mind than you did, and I thought that was the right way to go. And then one of the guys who follows me, and I'm sure he has a lot of followers himself. I think he's from Australia. His name is Byron Rogers. He's an interesting guy and into data, et cetera. He knows a bit about genetics and mentioned something that really resonated with me, and I made a few phone calls. And the fact that the industry has at its disposal genetic information, DNA information on every foal means that it would not be very difficult nor very expensive to identify patterns in the compression of bloodlines. So if it can be done without spending a lot of money, why don't we do that and tailor the caps only to stallions that are threatening to be a problem for the breed? Now, of course, there'd have to be a discussion about exactly what the threshold is and all of that. But that kind of tailoring would leave the innocent breeders and stallions to breed as many as they could possibly, breed without harming the game. It seems to me a much more fair and reasonable way to approach the problem.
Yeah, I think when you start to get 150 for him and 220 for him, that becomes a more individual issue. And I don't want to overcomplicate a very slow Fred Flintstone back in the Stone Age game, dinosaurs. But I agree that there should. I actually suggested go 200 and go down 5 every year for the next 5 years to get to 175. Okay. I agree on first year stallions. And I wonder if we agree for the same reason. These first year stallions that get off to a great start is comical to me. Everybody nowadays is breeding to the top 5 stallions and the 5 new beauty queens. Mm-hmm. The 5 stallions that are the new freshman class, they are getting bred like they're the top 10 because you can sell them for the most.
Right. So
what happens is they all come out with a great first crop, and then you don't find them their second, third, and fourth crop. They don't make it. It's hysterical.
Well, let me just add one other. I agree with you, Mike, but let me add one other point. Some of those stallions are bred to they produce nearly in their first crop
250
half as many foals as Northern Dancer did in his career, right? So that's another problem, is that you have no idea if a stallion's going to be good or get sound horses, and you got 250 foals on the ground, 500 after the first 2 years. It's a problem.
It's a major problem.
Well, and you're not even getting 500 after the first 2 years, because what's happening is you're getting 250 in the first year, and then nobody wants to breed in the second year because they're going to the next freshman sire. And I was very vocal years ago about we can't put a cap. I'm a free market guy and everything like that. But I'm seeing, especially with these first year stallions, that and now we're trying to sell a first year stallion in Sandman, and the math is upside down. Because after the first year, they're assuming that you're going to breed 250 mares first year. You're going to get 200 live, paid live stud fees after the first year. And then you're going to get 75 and 50 in years 2 and 3. It's impossible for a stallion to show himself with those kind of numbers. Because if he doesn't hit the first year, he's in Turkey after that. So I've changed my tune personally on
John, the funny part is, and the industry is really, really slow. Everything is about supply and demand. Everyone's looking at the OBS sale. Wow, we had $10 million horses because there were only 20 horses that were worth it. So people bought the most expensive. Look how many horses sold for under 20,000, right?
Yep.
So that's all BS. Record sales, it's all bullshit. But what happens I said to Kumar years ago, if we capped Uncle Mo at 175, instead of him being 150, we can go to 175 to get 150.
Right. Yep.
So, and by the way, not only do we make the same amount of money, but then there's another 75 breedings that you can send to your other horses. More money. It's supply and demand. It's so obvious.
Yep.
I can get higher on stud fees by capping them and increasing pricing, and then get 75 spread out between another 75 fucking stallions.
So then couldn't you take that same argument and use it for trainers as well? And you and I both use super trainers, but couldn't you say the same thing?
Well, there's two things about that. I don't really, and I have another idea here.
Yeah, please.
I've said that if you ever do that, and there should be a cap. I think, by the way, if you ask Todd Pletcher, I agree on a cap for trainers.
Right.
But maybe 125 or 150, not 50. Okay.
Right.
And John, it also becomes, John, I have 11 trainers I use. Okay. I have 11.
Right.
Now, my best stock does go to Todd Pletcher. Okay. But I do employ 11. Now, there's other owners. Okay. Right. And I'm going to throw one out, and him and his trainer are going to get really pissed off at me. Okay. And I don't mind it. I want you guys to look up Seth Clammond. Okay. Claridge Stable. And tell me how many starts in the last 3 years he had outside Chad Brown. Right.
Yeah.
John, do you know how many it is?
It's 0.
Okay. 0.
Right.
How is that good for racing when the top 5 owner doesn't ship out to the Brittany Russell or Joe Shaw or Mike McCarthy or somebody else?
Right.
Okay. At least I'm sharing. I want to race. I love when I win a race without Todd, because I can tell him, look, I win, you don't. Especially when Todd gives up the horse. Right. Or I move him from Todd. Right. I root for those horses more than I root for my horses with Todd. So think about that. So we don't do that. Okay. Yep. That's very
and then it makes those stalls for those super trainers more valuable, which theoretically then they can charge more, per stall or per day. And then they would
or at least it forces Mark Cassie or Todd Pletcher to let this horse go instead of keeping it in stable because it's 5th string. Right. So I'm already doing that, but this is also important. John, when you pay $1.2 million for a horse, you want to hear about a trainer? I can't get into this trainer, so I got to go, you got to watch that.
Right.
Okay. So Tinky, here's my idea. In this economy, we have 2 types of trainers. 50% that have their 125 cap, and then 50% that get paid a salary by the track. And almost like it's an apprenticeship where you get 20 horses, we pay you, here are the horses, we help recruit. And one day when you have enough and confidence, you can go on your own. You go on your own. It's like a graduation step. It's like the NFL has individual teams and the UFL they own all the teams and the players get paid the same. Almost where the sport steps in with the track and they employ 25 trainers at 25 horses and we work that way. You guys think that's crazy?
It's a creative idea, Mike, that I appreciate. You touched on something. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but I think it's very important. I think it's an cliche elephant in the room. Today's economy, you said, well, of course, I don't mean it in too much of a micro sense, but the economy recently has been changing fairly dramatically. And one of the big concerns that I've had for a long time is that these problems that we have been touching on, all of them have been developing during a period of time when the economy was relatively robust and strong and people were feeling good about the money they had, et cetera. Now we're going into a period where there's a lot of uncertainty and it could end up being much worse than that. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm curious because you obviously have serious capital that's not all invested in horses. What are your views? What are your views about how the industry should defend against what could be a real downturn in capital coming, whether it's wagering or buying of horses, et cetera? I mean, I think it's already on us, but if it gets worse, what do you think can be done to somehow survive a real downturn in the economy?
You know what? I think the downturn in this industry has happened even during the best of times.
That's right.
But I think for the people that are in this game right now, you almost have to shoot them to get them out. Like we're gonna be in the game. I don't think the downturn is gonna be as high here. Other things that they did, but the people that are here are not really we're down to like the last 100,000 fucking lovers of the sport. And that's it. So I don't think I worry about, if I was up 100%, I'd be more worried than if I'm down 20. How's that sound? Sounds weird, but 100, you're expecting to be up 200. At minus 20, you're looking just to save the ship here. We already have a downward trend. So I don't think reversing it is as hard as to stopping as when you have incredible growth and you just have to put the brakes on it. My opinion in business. Like I have this company, Noble. I'm not worried that Nike and Lululemon and tariffs in China, keep it going because it's going to hurt them a lot more than it's going to hurt me. Like disruption is good. They're going to spend time like, how the fuck am I? I'm a public company. Like, of course I don't want tariffs, but I'm saying I'm not worried about them because they're in a worse position than me. I think horse racing is not really in that position. It's my opinion. The one thing is these breeding farms. You know, I just called out an owner. I'll call out these farms. I think some of these big breeding farms, there should be a rule. You should race 20 to 25% of what you breed. Okay? Your Coolmore will breed 2,000, 3,000 mares. How many do they run in the United States? Bullshit. Oh, we're from England and Ireland and we like, no, it's bullshit. You make your money here and you send it there? No, we don't do that here. Okay? I want to see where are Coolmore horses in the United States. They should have 150 on the track. Okay? Hillendale, Windstar has horses, Lane's End, all the big farms. And some of them do. But they should have 20, 25% on the track. Okay? For every 4 you breed, one has to race.
Yeah, I endorse that kind of creative disruption. I think that it would be a positive thing.